So, Jason, one of the Dan Bill of Rights is durable, smart assets. Could you talk a little bit about why that's important and why people should be thinking about that when they're talking about a digital asset management system?
Sure. So, digital asset management in general is all about being able to manage, right? So it's asset management. And the word management means that you have to make decisions. Decisions require information, right? So let me give you an example. Like, you want to be able to have a project, and you might have a picture of a whiteboard, you might have an Excel document, and you might have a picture of a famous actress, right? And the famous actress has been paid quite a lot to be able to be in that product or that shot. Now, the thing is you need to be able to discreetly manage each one of those pieces, and so that information has to be part of those files. So it's called metadata. It's not in the file, right? But it's actually about the file. So what you really need to have is the ability to have this information inside the files and strongly attached to it. So as the file goes through the system, it has to carry this data with it. So it has to be durable, and it has to have information about the file, so it has to be smart, right? So it's durable and smart. Now, there are a couple other things that you need around that to make it useful. So you need to be able to have the data in a structure that is standardized, right? So we need to have an industry standard, and we do, and MediaBeacon uses XMP, which is kind of RDF, which is kind of XML. Okay, that gobbledygook, that actually just means that we're standard, and we have the ability for you to read that data outside of MediaBeacon, and it's permanently attached, right? It needs to be attached to the file, but not be in the file stream, right? So in other words, it has to be able to be attached to the file permanently in the file system, and as it moves around, that data has to go with it. Okay, second of all, it has to be able to have a structure that's flexible, because what you want to track might not be what I want to track. So an example is EXIF. So there's this standard called EXIF, and it's a metadata standard that competes with XMP, or it's part of XMP now, but it was an original standard. And it has Flash did fire. So Flash did fire doesn't make a lot of sense if I opened it and created it from Photoshop, right? So the Flash didn't fire or did fire, I don't know, because it never occurred, because it's a virtual thing, right? So it doesn't make sense to track it. So you can't dictate what the fields are. So flexible fields, and then it has to be in multiple languages, because a lot of the original metadata standards weren't flexible enough to have metadata in different languages. So that was kind of dramatic. So you're like, as long as it's English, it's great. So, or uppercase.
But you're saying that there are other languages.
There are, in fact, other languages.
Got it.
So the important part is that it has to be durable, attach the assets, move with it. It has to be flexible namespace, and it has to change. And I can't dictate to you what it is. And it has to be in multiple languages. So that's why durable smart assets are so important. And that's why that's a core principle around the Digital Asset Management Bill of Rights, and why it's a fundamental principle in everything we do at MediaBeacon.
Great, thanks.
Thanks.